Pig and Whistle Tales from Azeroth. As always, here at the Pig and Whistle Inn in Stormwind, I go through a variety of subjects with regards to World of Warcraft. Grab a bottle or a pint, sit back and enjoy. Today, we're going to be going over the third installment, I believe, of the midweek podcast, the Rate My Dungeon series, and we're going to be going over Shadowfang Keep. Shadowfang Keep is a dungeon that is located in Silverpine Forest. It is roughly around level sort of 17 to 22-ish is the levels that you want to be doing this dungeon. Anything above, you're not necessarily getting the XP that you want. Anything below, it's going to be tough for you to contribute to the group that you're in. Like I said, it is in Silverpine Forest, the left-hand side, and it is a castle-type dungeon. So, how many bosses are in the dungeon? There are 10 bosses in total, with a potential 11th boss being the rare. The bosses are all kinds of monsters. You have horse bosses, you have abominations, you have ghosts, you have a necromancer, you have everything, essentially, a worgen as well. How simple is the dungeon layout and the design of the dungeon? It's quite simple. It's not as simple as, say, Dead Mines, where you're going straight through one-way system, as there is a bit of a way that you can explore. There's the normal route that you go, and you can also go up this ramp that goes around the side. You can sort of take a couple different paths, but they each lead to the exact same way. They each connect and basically go into one path again. Kind of think of it like a road, sort of a what do you call it? Slipstream? Slip road. That's it. You're basically coming into the motorway and you merge with it. It's kind of like that. So it is very simple in its design, and it is very user-friendly if you are a newer player to World of Warcraft. It isn't Wailing Caverns where you are literally lost in a maze. Even experienced players get lost in Wailing Caverns. It's very obnoxious. But Shadowfang Keep is very simple, but not as simple as some of the other dungeons. The loot that you get in there is exceptionally good. So a lot of people run this dungeon purely for their twink characters, their level 19 rogues, priests, whatever it is. But I've said this in multiple episodes, the twink is essentially a character that you level to a certain level bracket and keep it at that level for battlegrounds. So for PvP, you have level 10 to 19 brackets, 20 to 29, etc. And they would always be at the end of that bracket, so level 19, 29, etc. And they would be decked out with the most gear possible, every single enchant and stuff. And Shadowfang Keep is where the loot is for these characters. It drops so much good loot, it is unreal. It sells for hundreds of gold on the auction house if you are lucky to get it dropping from the runs that you do. It's absolutely insane. So yeah, the gear is very much worth picking up when you are there and doing the dungeon. It has had a revamp, but the revamp wasn't necessarily anything that was crazy. The thing about it was it's very much the exact same layout. The bosses just changed very slightly, and they cut the number of bosses down to about 6, I believe, 5, 6. Nothing too crazy, so they cut a few bosses. Obviously, the NPCs in the dungeon changed with the revamp. So it was a lot more worgen that were running the show, essentially. A lot more worgen were inside the castle and running things. But ultimately, what you're there to do is stop a necromancer who has terrorized Silverpine Forest. That is the purpose of the dungeon. I just came up with this on the spot. I should do these for the previous ones as well, but going forward I will. The purpose of the dungeon is essentially you are stopping a necromancer that has controlled some worgen and stuff and is going rampant through Silverpine Forest. If you read the quests in there, it will all be telling you about the Sons of Aragol and everything, and Aragol is the guy who is the final boss within Shadowfang Keep. So essentially he is the main man in this zone and you want to defeat him. That's kind of the backstory of it. But Shadowfang Keep is so renowned for its loot, basically, because like I said, it drops so much twink gear, rogue twink gear, which a lot of people do go for rogues because rogues at level 19 have stealth, and then they have the potential one-shot combo with like ambush. So this is what a lot of people go for when it comes to twin cults. And essentially, this dungeon, you get the gear for these characters off of trash. So any mob within the dungeon can drop these, and it is a very, very, very low drop chance. So that is why they are very lucrative and sought after within the game and sell for hundreds and hundreds of gold. If you get any, I would recommend selling it and just buying something that's like a little bit cheaper on the auction house for like 5-10 gold, because that way you've made a decent profit. But ultimately, you want to be doing Shadowfang Keep just for the experience. It's quite nice to go through a castle essentially and, you know, take down its defenders, is the best way to describe it. You're going through the courtyard into sort of the dining hall, then you go up onto the ramparts where you're scaling the walls and running across them, and then you go into the big sort of main castle that's above you, and it's really good. It's really good, really enjoyable, and it is something that you don't necessarily want to miss out on. You want to experience Shadowfang Keep. It is such a unique dungeon, and its design, its mobs, and for Alliance players especially, these are mobs that you wouldn't encounter until, say, Duskwood. Duskwood being the zone that's underneath Elwyn Forest, the human starting zone, and this is like level 28, 29-ish, that you would encounter Worgens for the first time. At least I believe so. Yeah, I can't rattle my brain to think that you encountered them before that at all. So, yeah, it's unique mobs that you wouldn't have seen as Alliance. But for Horde, it's more you're clearing out the infestation of what this Necromancer has done to Silverpine Forest. And, yeah, it's just good fun, to be honest. It's really good fun, and it's definitely worth the journey to Silverpine for the Alliance players to give it a go, because you could get lucky, get rich while doing the dungeon, and essentially it does have very good loot for your character for leveling. But that is it for this week, or this midweek episode. Be sure to check out the Patreon. We've got loads of oh my god, my brain is just gone completely blank there. Got loads of ad-free content down there, as well as Twitch and YouTube, constant stuff happening on them pages. But once again, thank you all very much for listening, and go with Valor, friend. Goodbye all.